It was a tranquil afternoon at the Sunnyside Diner, nestled in the heart of Arizona. Michael Carter, a former NBA legend standing at an imposing 7 feet 1 inch, sat in his usual corner. Despite his towering frame, this was his sanctuary, a place to enjoy a quiet meal, away from the glaring spotlight. That day, Mike seemed drained. He had just wrapped up a heated debate with Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA about the upcoming playoffs. Before that, he had spent hours at the Arizona Children's Hospital, where the children's laughter was both uplifting and emotionally taxing. As he waited for his meal, Mike's gaze drifted around the familiar corners of the diner. Near the window sat an elderly couple sharing a slice of apple pie, their hands interlocked, a testament to a love that had endured decades. At the center table, a group of office workers laughed over drinks, their chatter blending harmoniously with the warm rays of sunlight casting tiny rainbows on the table. However, what truly captured Mike's attention was a man sitting across the room. Dressed impeccably in a tailored Tom Ford suit, the man exuded wealth and authority. A Rolex glinted on his wrist, but his tense phone conversation carried an undercurrent of anger, filling the space around him with palpable unease. Across from the man sat a boy, no older than 6, wearing a faded Spider-Man shirt and scuffed sneakers. His appearance hinted at countless hours of spirited play, yet his demeanor was unsettlingly subdued. As a father of 6, Mike understood the restless energy of children, their curiosity, their boundless questions. But this boy was different. He sat motionless, his tiny hands folded neatly on his lap. His wide eyes flitted nervously to his father, shrinking back each time the man's voice rose. When the waitress arrived with Mike's meal, she cast him a concerned glance. Mike returned a subtle nod, his attention unwavering from the boy. Years of working with children's charities had sharpened his instincts. Something was deeply amiss. The boy seemed caught in an internal struggle, his gaze darting toward Mike before quickly retreating. Finally, summoning courage, he slid off his chair. His small hands trembled as he shuffled toward Mike, each step heavy with hesitation. Mike remained still, his expression warm and inviting, careful not to startle the boy. When the child reached him, he rose on tiptoes, leaned in close, and whispered 6 haunting words. In an instant, Mike's face turned pale. His hands shook as he grabbed his phone and dialed 911. Those whispered words shattered the veneer of a perfect family, exposing a heartbreaking truth that no one in the diner could have foreseen. Laura had once been a successful attorney, but after Ethan's birth, she left her career to focus on her family. Over time, she began noticing strange discrepancies in their joint account. Large sums of money vanishing, dismissed by Daniel as business expenses or investments. His explanations grew increasingly vague and implausible. One fateful day, Daniel's iPad inadvertently synced with their family iCloud account. What Laura discovered was devastating. A 2-year-long affair with Emily Harper, one of his subordinates. Even worse, the funds Daniel embezzled from his company had financed lavish dates, luxury hotels, and weekend getaways to Palm Shores. The messages revealed a man devoid of remorse, cold and calculating, indifferent to the havoc he wrought. When Laura confronted him, Daniel's polished facade crumbled. He became aggressive, gripping her arm so tightly it bruised, hissing threats through clenched teeth. "If you dare leave or expose me, I'll use every connection I have to ruin you, and I'll take Ethan away from you." But Laura was undeterred. Quietly, she began gathering evidence. Photos of her bruises, recordings of his threats, and financial records that laid bare his crimes. When she filed for divorce, a grueling legal battle ensued. Daniel employed every tactic to discredit her, from fabricating evidence of alcoholism to leveraging his legal connections to manipulate court proceedings. Yet Laura was relentless. With support from women's advocacy groups, former colleagues who had witnessed Daniel's behavior, and a whistleblower within his firm, she built an airtight case. After a year of intense litigation, the court awarded Laura full custody of Ethan. Daniel was granted supervised visitation rights, a ruling that only deepened his simmering rage. At Sunnyside Diner, Ethan, a 6-year-old boy, whispered 6 trembling words to Michael Carter. Today, Dad hurt Mom badly. Mike kept a calm exterior, but inside, a wave of worry surged. Ethan's small body shook, his wide eyes brimming with fear and despair. The faint traces of dried tears on his cheeks and the crumpled Spider-Man shirt, where he had nervously wiped his hands, revealed the depth of his distress. Gently, Mike placed a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder, silently promising the boy protection. Holding his phone in one hand, he kept the other close to Ethan, a quiet vow of safety. He motioned discreetly to Rose, the waitress, who quickly positioned herself near the entrance, blocking any exit. While dialing 911, Mike's voice remained steady but resolute. He informed the operator that the man in the diner might be dangerous and emphasized that a woman nearby urgently needed medical attention. Daniel, engrossed in his phone call, didn't notice his son had wandered off until the sound of the diner's doorbell alerted him. He turned, his face paling as he saw 2 police officers entering. His phone slipped from his hand, clattering onto the table. Feigning sweetness, Daniel beckoned Ethan. "Come on, son, we need to go home now," he called, though his eyes betrayed a suppressed fury. Before he could act, Mike stepped between him and the boy, his towering figure an impenetrable barrier. When the officers instructed Daniel to raise his hands and turn around, his carefully curated facade crumbled. "You have no right to do this," he roared, attempting to lunge toward Ethan, but the officers restrained him. As handcuffs clicked around his wrists, Daniel screamed, "Do you know who I am? I'll make you all pay for this." From Ethan's fragmented recount, Mike learned that his mother, Laura, was gravely injured at home just a few blocks away. Emergency responders were immediately dispatched to the scene. Laura was found unconscious on the living room floor, having suffered a severe head injury from being pushed down the stairs. The paramedics confirmed that any delay in assistance could have had catastrophic consequences. At the hospital, Ethan stayed by his mother's bedside, his tiny hand tightly clutching hers. Over the next few days, the full extent of the truth emerged. Earlier that morning, Daniel had shown up at Laura's home under the guise of his scheduled supervised visitation. When Laura reminded him that he had forfeited those rights due to his failure to complete court-ordered therapy sessions, Daniel exploded with rage, leading to his violent assault. But thanks to Ethan's bravery and Mike's timely intervention, a glimmer of hope illuminated an otherwise dark story. Daniel had planned to flee the country with Ethan. Police later discovered a fake passport in his car, along with a large stash of cash and incriminating documents exposing a web of financial fraud at Grant and Fellows law firm, where he worked. However, Daniel had underestimated his son's courage and the unexpected involvement of a basketball legend with a heart as big as his frame. Despite his fear, Ethan had recognized Mike from posters in his bedroom. Somehow, the boy trusted the gentle giant to help him. When asked later why he approached Mike, Ethan simply said, "He looked like a superhero. I knew he'd save us like Spider-Man would." 3 months later, Ethan was honored at the River City Community Hall by the River City Police Department in a special ceremony. Laura, now fully recovered, stood proudly as her son stepped forward to receive his award. The once trembling boy from the diner now stood tall, confident in a crisp new suit that any Peter Parker would envy. Meanwhile, Daniel faced a slew of criminal charges and years of imprisonment. His legal career and reputation were utterly destroyed. The most poignant moment of the ceremony came when Ethan shyly presented Mike with a drawing he had made. On the paper were 2 figures, sketched in a child's unsteady hand. A small Spider-Man holding the hand of a towering superhero dressed in purple and blue, with the number 34 on his chest. At the bottom, Ethan had carefully written in large, uneven letters, "My 2 heroes." That unforgettable story profoundly inspired Mike. He went on to establish a charitable foundation dedicated to supporting children and families affected by domestic violence. Every time he attended the stadium to commentate for the Phoenix Guardians games, Mike reserved front-row seats for Ethan and Laura. The incident didn't just transform the lives of Ethan and Laura. It ignited broader discussions about domestic violence within professional circles. This momentum led to improvements in support systems and reporting protocols at Grant and Fellows law firm and other organizations in Arizona. Laura later returned to her legal career, specializing in family law and dedicating her work to helping other survivors navigate their legal battles. Sunnyside Diner, once known only for its burgers and apple pies, became a symbol of courage and compassion. A place where a brave little boy and a compassionate basketball legend saved lives and inspired countless others. The story of Ethan, the courageous 6-year-old, and Michael Carter, the compassionate NBA star, resonates with us all. From one small but meaningful act of bravery, 2 lives were saved, and a powerful message was delivered to the world. Speaking up can change destinies. Listen to children. Children may not always know how to articulate their fear or pain, but a keen and attentive ear can help them find the courage to speak out. Act when something feels wrong. Michael Carter acted swiftly when he sensed something was off. Sometimes a single act, like making a 911 call, can make a monumental difference. Be brave. Enough to ask for help. Ethan is a living testament that no matter how small or afraid you feel, you can find the strength to seek help when it matters most. Compassion can save lives. Mike wasn't just an NBA star. He was a man with a boundless capacity for compassion. This incident inspired him to create a foundation that continues to assist families in need. If you found yourself in a similar situation, what would you do? We all have the power to become silent heroes by paying attention to the signs around us or simply being willing to listen. This story isn't just about the courage of a young boy or the intervention of a public figure. It's a poignant reminder that each of us, no matter how big or small, can create miracles when we care for one another. Share your thoughts about this story in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed someone as brave as Ethan? How would you act if you encountered a child in need? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss more heartwarming stories like this one. Thank you for watching and being part of our journey.